All right, call the meeting to order 7:04. Doesn't look like we have any public participation. I will table the approval of the minutes from last month. So we do have a special guest here, Ian, from Ace Energy. He was nice enough to come on and talk to us about the specialized energy code, which we are bringing to town meeting next month. So, Ian, I guess you have lots of experience so far with this in other towns, maybe that you can.
None.
Oh, you have none. Okay.
Yeah. First, my name is Ian. It's the
sorry.
same. It's the same name. Just just to make things more confusing in life. Ian Rex. Yep. Yeah. I have two companies. The Energy Hound is what I was doing for a while. That website's still out there with great homeowner like what to think about, how to solve problems in a home. A partner and me started Ace Energy in 2015 and put our two companies together pretty much, or most of mine. And we are a HERS energy, home energy rating system. The rating function one needs for code, and the certificates that show that a house passes code for the energy code. We do about 300 to 400 homes a year with ACE, and about 5 years ago or so we started installing heat pumps, Mitsubishis and LGs and such. So we have 3 trucks on the road doing that right now. Yeah, in case new construction ever subsides. And of course, recently the renovations and additions going on in the state is just wildly active, and so the heat pumps is a good business for that. So yeah, I don't have any experience in the specialized, and the reason is because this is I think there's only a dozen towns or fewer, maybe a dozen towns that have adopted that already. When you adopt a new, an updated or one of these changes in the codes, there's a 6-month. I don't have to tell you guys this. You know this. So right now, I was talking to a homeowner, and they said, "Are you sure it's not specialized?" They said, "Well, let me look it up." Okay, so they are, but it's still January 1st. So I said, hey, you can get your permit before that and you're okay. Otherwise, you're going to be hit with a big decrease in the maximum home energy rating score you can get, which means you get even a better house, but it's still bigger money. So outside of those dozen towns, there's another 300 towns that work in, and so all the businesses there.
Yeah, I know that at least 20 communities in the state have passed it, but may not be in going like active right now.
Yeah, that sounds about right. About another 8 that are going to be turning over in January 1st. And then, of course, next year, right, it's July 1st, right, of 24, when the rest of the stretch code towns have to take that on as their upgraded performance threshold. So I do, every week I have long, elaborate 45-minute discussions with homeowners, builders, inspectors, about what the actual R values are that are needed. Everybody gets the code book and they pass around this chart that says R60 ceilings, and you don't need to do R60 ceilings. So that is a chart that is used for very, very few projects in Massachusetts. the stretch code towns and specialized code towns need to go a different way anyway. So that chart is just, tell them just put it off, use it for kindling or whatever.
I'm not sure what chart you're referring to.
Oh, okay. So there's thank you.
To go back to the
thanks for mentioning
basics,
that.
Like what? So like we're fairly educated, all of us kind of on different levels.
Okay.
Nathaniel, I think, is joining us for the first time, right? He's our student from the youth council. So maybe you could talk to us like what your role is in the stretch code, and it would be the same in the specialized stretch code, right? Like so one of the big questions when we passed the stretch code was what does the inspector have to do? And our inspector, and talking to him about the specialized as well, is like, it's really great because we get to rely on HERS raters. So like, tell us what you do and what HERS stands for, and maybe some of the basics.
HERS, Home Energy Rating System, which is a computation system software that's used and put forward by ResNet, RESNET, Residential Energy Services Network, which is a .org. It's a not-for-profit. They have become the standard for new construction. The other big energy organization out there is BPI, Building Performance Institute. They are concentrating more on the existing homes. But in Massachusetts, it's the HERS rating, far more technical, actually, in terms of the calculations and such than BPI. I can do all the testing that they can do, but the software and everything is really where it's at for proof, because the utility company needs that proof to understand how energy performance in a community, in the state, is developing. So home energy, okay, so I was pretty much directly speaking to that in answering to that question. What do I do? I spend a lot of time convincing people to stop looking at and listening to whatever their uncle said, and trying to get them to look at what's important. And to basically stop asking 17 questions and needing answers to those, when I'll let you know exactly what you need. You don't have to worry about the moths outside your house in the middle of the night. There's other things to deal with, kind of thing. So I'm certified to look at the plans for a home, a new dwelling, and do the calculations in consultation with the builder or the homeowner to give a more than a snapshot, but a good guesstimate as to where the house will fall. Some people say, oh, but you didn't do this, you didn't do that. It's like, okay, there's 30 other things I could tell them that I didn't do, or that I did that they should be asking about, to see if the house is actually going to pass. So the first step is to take the plans, create an energy model in the software, assign that certificate so that the homeowner or builder can then obtain their building permit. So that's needed for the building permit application. There's a second certificate that is needed at the end to get their certificate of occupancy, right? And that's where we get more detailed and fleshing out all the other things. So the part of this first step when I talk about consultation or advising is, besides all the numbers and everything, I need to find out, okay, are they going to foam the roof line of the house, or are they going to try to insulate on the flat of the attic? Massive difference, because air leakage is going to be stupendous through that attic floor if they're going to build it the same darn way they've been building it for the past 100 years, because they don't build it any different, really. And I can help someone get through that and build much more cheaply if they just listen to what I say. So that's that real strong guesstimate and then directs the builder onto a certain pathway of, okay, these are the things we really need to shoot for because the HERS rater said.
So
We're going to
the,
look at the
sorry, just to stop you there, the
Sure.
occupancy certificate, is that where you look at the building after it's built to make sure it meets the code?
Yeah, a certificate of occupancy is only issued if the safety thresholds have been met, the energy thresholds met, the mechanical and plumbing, etc. My certificate shows that it passes the energy code part of that. And yeah, the new thing in the new code that just came about January 1st this year is that the inspector, it says in the code that the inspector can really just rely on the energy, professional on it, just like they might not know about the structural really, and they really can rely on the either architect or engineer to say, okay, the house is going to stand. They don't have to second guess that. So when they look at it, and the reason for that is because the energy profile of a house, whether you're adding up the energy costs and the usage or the quality of the insulation and the results of the blower door air leak test, are things that the inspector's just not going to be training for. It's so far beyond that. Yeah, so that sound right? The certificate of occupancy, right? Okay, let me just say one thing. So the certificate of occupancy, yeah, when they get my final certificate, has also the testing results of the blower door test, okay, infiltration test, blower door, duct leakage tests, and the most important thing, it's not those things, it's the ventilation. The bath fans, well, actually, the bath fans aren't used now. That was until 8 months ago. Now it's an ERV, energy recovery ventilator. System is the one most important thing that I do, is making sure a tighter home, people are going to be able to sleep and not need 9 hours of sleep in order to actually be able to open their eyes in the morning. If you don't have enough oxygen, if you have too much carbon dioxide, your REM curves are flat and long, and you don't get 3 or 4 good punches of REM cycling, and miserable day the next day. That happens all the time. Yeah. So the other thing is not just the quality of life there, but also the mold infestation and such, and air quality, capture of moisture. So so when I give a final certificate, it's saying that the house is healthy, that it is been built under the thresholds of the energy requirements, and that the whole process has pretty much been watched by someone like me, and that's the big important thing here.
So
is that
you
we're on
work
from the beginning
hand in
to the end.
hand with building inspector through that whole process.
Can you say that again?
So you work hand in hand with the building inspector through that whole process?
No, and often in contention. Building inspectors have egos. Maybe HERS raters do too, but one of them knows what they're talking about in terms of the energy. I got building inspectors know way more than I do on so many other things. No, the building inspector is not going to spend that time. They might look at the certificate and go, okay, I won't listen to them, I won't hear from them ever. It's really with the GC on site, oftentimes a homeowner or a sub. Yeah, that's really where it's at. The inspector just wants to make sure that the person building the house who's responsible and whose name's on that on the permit is doing the right thing. They got an electric. Well, you don't need an electrician to put the electric bill in, actually, but it has to be done right. You need someone who knows how to test the house at the end. And in order to pass, you really need someone on board, an energy rater, who can let the whole construction team know what are the things they really have to pay attention to. in order for the test to pass at the end. Because if it doesn't pass at the end, nobody's happy and everybody looks at it as my fault.
Okay, so basically the building inspector is not really looking at the energy code that much at all. You are.
They get training on it to some extent. They come away with things that are very insignificant, or the chart, which is not to be looked at. But they've been training more, they've been getting trained more legitimately, I think, tighter controls on it. And, you know, hey, perk up, you know, if you really want to keep the job. As to what is the method, the procedure, right? What do you have to look at with what do you have to ask for of the builder about this energy code? So that's kind of where it's at, yeah.
So like, if we're gonna walk people through the energy code, whether it's stretch or specialized, let's just leave that for now.
Yep.
Basically you become kind of part of the build team, right? Like an architect, like a engineer, and you're there at the beginning and you're there at the end. And then the building inspector really relies on you because you're a trained, certified professional to do your testing and tell him or her that it meets the HERS rating that's required under our code. Is that a good characterization?
It is one characterization. I find myself either part of that building team or not. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm animated. It's like, okay, don't ignore me. Don't ignore my email. If you want to ignore me, fine. Do not ignore my email because it is not my fault in the end. And I'm really trying to help, and I'm trying to make, and more builders are really cognizant of when I say, listen, it's not about you. This is about the people buying this house from you. And if the kids are going to get lung disease because they're playing in the basement that you've said is safe, and still there's that smell. Oh, but that's in every basement. No, not anymore. It better not be. Too much mold. So the idea of am I part of the team? Well, when there's an architect on board, yes, definitely, because that architect's holding on to everything, and they're doing kind of being the sometimes they create houses and then sell them. Other times they're working for a homeowner and giving them a whole lot of attention, and then we're pulled into all those meetings, and so I have to really double my price because now I'm doing 4 or 5 meetings when I do sometimes 1, sometimes.
But the fact remains that if, from a municipal standpoint, a developer is not going to get their occupancy if we have a stretch code that requires your certification or a HERS certification unless they comply with what you are certifying, essentially.
Oh, that's been the case for many years now.
Right.
The question is if it's a builder or developer and they're don't read the first email, then they are going to have to swallow it later on.
Exactly. So, from our standpoint, we're going to pass a bylaw that says this is what you have to do to get into a new house, to get occupancy, to get your permit, first of all, and to get occupancy in a new house. And then it's really up to them, just like it is to get a GC who works or an electrician who works or whatever, maybe, to get somebody who can get them to that point. It's not an added burden on our municipal staff to get them to that point. It's the cost. They're paying you, whether they're paying more in the end or more in the beginning or paying attention to you all the way through. I know we have an architect on this committee, and I married an architect. I get it.
Who's your architect? Raise their hand.
Robin's an architect.
There we go. Thank you.
Certified, like, but there are professionals out there, and basically what we're saying as a town body in this warrant, if this warrant passes, is that developers in our town have to meet this standard, and they have to do what it takes to meet this standard, right?
That's always been the case. Yep. If people are friends with the inspector, then there's issues there. They cut slack all the time until December 30th, and they're calling me, Yeah, I know I said I didn't need
Yeah,
it.
but they
Now I
can't
need it.
really cut slack if you're testing using a model.
Right, right. Yeah, but the cutting slack often has to do with no, I don't need that. You know, it's like the inspectors are really catching on. I'm not talking about all of them. I'm talking about 10-15%. It has been who just aren't. You know, sometimes it's been 25%. The bulk of them care and aren't really informed, but care and listen. And then there's another 25% that know more than I do about my code. And yeah, and you know, the way I speak of it is just to the point and matter of fact, because it's about these relationships and it's about how people perceive, you know, another person's job. You know, everybody knows the darn, you know, electrical code has to pass. They're not convinced about the energy code. They think it's bunk. They think it's baloney. So I, you know, will listen to them for 17 or 18 seconds and I'll say, listen.
So I guess as far as developers knowing which code applies in which town, how does that go about? Like, are you informing them or somebody else informing them?
Yep. There's a mass.gov site where you can look up the utility. Actually, it might be a utility site. What town? This is what'll happen. I'll get it. I'll have someone call me. They say, listen, I don't know anything. I just was tipped off that I need to call someone like you. I got a name. And say, okay, what town is it? I find out whether it's a stretch code and whether it's municipal connected or if it's a mass save town in terms of the electric or gas. I look at where they are on the code. Have they adopted the specialized? Okay, I just ran into one today, my first. But I've been teaching people about this for a year. The next thing is then letting them know, okay, here are the things you really need to pay attention to. And what I do is issue a certificate, you know, and everything with those first things, those first decisions and, you know, conversation that I had in mind through the whole way. When were you permitted? Okay, then that tells you what code you actually have to go through.
So it's not the building inspector that's telling the developers what code to use, it's you.
Most of the time, right. When I go on a town website or people say, oh, go on the town website, I'm like, the town websites are usually not accurate. You make a call and they go, oh, well, no, oh yeah, we just didn't change that. It's, you know, 9 months later. Also with the state codes and such. New Hampshire state codes are still saying they're on 2013. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, like,
the
yeah, the inspector's role in this energy code. Like, it doesn't seem like they play a huge role.
Not in the energy code. They thought they did previously and say, oh no, I'm going to do the installation inspection. And this is all the towns. And it's like, so a builder or a homeowner will say, yeah, but the inspector already signed off on it. I'm like, that doesn't count in Massachusetts. They aren't trained for this. I am. And the builder will say, well, I don't care. You know, I'm like, okay, well, get me pictures because I'm going to have to derate it if I see anything. Degrade the insulation. The homeowner would be different, you know, working with us in that way. So the inspector now, because it was written into the code saying you can look at the energy professional's signature and ask questions about that, but know that the technical side is real. This is what their job is, and they're regarded as a third-party verification service and consultant for this very purpose. Yeah.
Okay,
So
I'm confused why all the building inspectors are up in arms about the new code if they don't really play a huge role.
Yeah, so usually two reasons I find. First is because they've been involved in the building industry all along, and they get gruff when oh, it's going to cost so much more to build, all these hoops and everything. It's all baloney. Okay. Then you have much more sophisticated people, which can hold a conversation a little bit about it. Yeah, and they care. And there's been a lot of inspectors over the past 10 years who have lost their job, and the towns have hired people who cared, and who do their homework and do the training and listen during the training. He's not on right now, right? Your inspector's
no.
one of them.
We
Okay.
have a good, I think we have a good, I mean, our inspector's been has met with us and has been helpful.
Yeah, I think you know him, right? Because he recommended you.
Yes.
Okay.
He's a builder. He was in a builder. And so that was my first point, is most of them have been in the building trade, and they know a lot of other builders, and the whole perception is, but yeah, no, I went into he called me into their office down in Revere he had 3 other inspectors under him there. And he said, can you come in? Because we don't know what we're talking about here. We don't know what to do. And so I went in there and spent 45 minutes with him on all that. And since then, I've done his houses. He's been in different towns, and I've seen the changeover of building inspectors who weren't keeping up with everything, in lieu of bringing on inspectors who were better at being who were regarding their role actually more seriously. Yeah. So back to the what does the inspector do? Let me just. Code says they need to look for the first certificate, and that I signed it, and that the HERS rating is the correct number. There's certainly other little things they can look at in that and question about. They should be upfront, and this does not happen in most towns. They should be alerting the builder or homeowner that there is a code that they will need to pass, and it is a code in which it's not a one-time thing. Oh, they got the electrical, this, that, and the other. It's a code where there are so many flexible pieces: the insulation value, the quality of the insulation, the whereabouts of the insulation, the energy profile, the mechanicals and efficiencies and appliance load, the solar requirements.
So they're basically the interface.
That these are things that the person building the house needs to not just hire me for a one-term thing or 2 tests. It is an ongoing process, right? And so that's what the inspector should be doing these days, is letting them know. And that could just be, read this paragraph in our town website, honestly. And people would be alerted. The problem is most towns don't have that paragraph. It's, oh, go get this. And they come to me and they say, hey, I need this done. And I say, okay, well, do you really need that? Because what do they exactly say? Because that means 3 different things to me. And most likely it's not the one that you actually need. This happens all the time in Boston, where other towns where they get a lot of junior inspectors, and it's just, they're using the words, get this blower thing, get this fan thing. It's like, no, you got to do a whole lot more than that. The next step for the inspector is what they could do is just regard that, hey, you're coming up to insulation. I'm not going to be looking at it, but you need your HERS rater, your energy rater, to be involved here. Have they told you that? Yes, I'm aware of that. Good. Follow it. We're looking at the efficiencies of the systems and everything like that. At the end, they're going to say, well, you're coming in for your certificate of occupancy and about to write up that application or process that online. But, and here's the list of things that you need to check off. And one of them is the HERS rating. That's passing. What also should be put in there, oh God, if you could put this in, is that, hey, ventilation is a big part of this. And some raters say it's the most important thing we do. That a HERS rating is not just some blower thing test. It's duct testing, it's blower door testing, it's ventilation testing, it's consulting on all of those fronts. It's the whole process going through. It is fixing it at the end if you fail the blower door, fail this, or don't pass even check mark items. So it's not just a blower door test or a duct test. There's check marks that I can look at it, and if I can stick my hand in the duct, I don't care what the CFM leakage is, it can't pass because it is not sealed visually even. Went through that 2 days ago. Yeah, but it passes, doesn't it? No, I didn't test it, but it doesn't pass anyway because I know if you can stick your hand in, there's a problem. So that's, yes, that's another part of code, these mandatories and such.
Are you paid a flat rate? Like how are you're compensated by the developer or builder, whoever? How much does that add to the cost of a project?
Yep. If someone's doing 4 homes in a townhouse, a little stretch, it might be between 700 and 900 per unit per dwelling. And then I get paid by Mass Save a certain amount. A single family might be 1,200 to 1,800. I know a lot of energy raters that stick with it's 1,650. I'm way under that.
Okay.
Because so much of the time it's just doesn't take that much work for me.
We have a municipal utility, so you wouldn't get the Mass Save, benefit in Wakefield. So,
Is there any natural gas, or is it all propane?
We're a natural gas municipal utility.
So gas and electric.
Oh, your natural gas is municipal?
We're both. We're one of the very few that are both munis.
Never heard of that one. Okay, got it.
There's only 4, I think.
Then correct. My offices are in Ipswich, and Ipswich is Muni Electric and such. And they've actually really been trying to do incentive programs for all electric or solar and such. And it's such a slow development. You guys might know.
Well, we actually have a moratorium on gas on multifamily units, any new multifamily units.
Good. Yep.
So that's why, that's one reason that this specialized stretch code is so important. Because while we have the moratorium on it, doesn't necessarily mean that people pick electric. So this would help us get to everybody going electric.
Yeah.
The specialized is going to make it harder for furnace homes, but the code will never say what it has to be. They'll say what the end needs to be, but not how to get there. Because a lot of places you just can't, do natural gas, or you can't do whatever. Propane is.
Well, this will be the specialized code. My understanding, Robin, right, is that if you don't go all electric, you basically have to.
If you choose a fossil fuel pathway, you have to pre-wire or put in.
You have to pre-wire the house anyway.
Okay, and so there's let me talk about it a minute on that. You can use gas for your stove. You can use gas.
I don't think you'll get a hookup in Wakefield. You wouldn't get a hookup for a stove.
Or laundry. Bingo. The exception. So the code is specifically speaking about heating fuel or heating energy and hot water energy. Those are the two things. Okay. Heating and hot water. So right now, 52 and 55, if you do heating and hot water electric. If you add solar to it, it's 58. Okay. Do you know what the HERS, what that means? What a 50 means is half the energy use of a 2006 built house. Okay. So if you want to use fossil fuel, but you're putting solar on, then it's 55 also. So it's one of the things can bring you to 55, both the all electric and that bring you to that. But it does, yeah. Okay. So then, with the specialized, you're bumping down to 42, from 52 to 42, and from 55 to 45. But alteration permits, so major renovations, class 3 renovations, we're doing a substantial addition or renovation of the outer walls, is going to stay in the 50s. Okay. Those are still 52 and 55. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, this is only new construction. Specialized. Okay.
Yep.
This is helpful.
Right.
I do think
And-
this is really helpful.
And the big question about is whether burn downs. I'm doing 3 or 4 burn downs right now.
Mhm.
And say, okay, well, I actually don't know, because it really has to do with the town inspector. What they say is the requirement there. Some of them go new construction, and some of them, and that means it should be new construction, or at least Mass Save believes, and the utilities believe, in terms of programs, is, hey, if the framing is down to the foundation or the top of the foundation, if you're using the existing foundation or slab or anything like that, and building up that, if you have a piece of a wall up, then it can be an alteration.
Okay.
You can make determinations on that, I think, and go.
Okay. That's interesting conundrum.
Mhm.
Okay.
So some burn downs are actually regarded as either an alteration or a new construction, or I've even seen, like, just say special case, and it was just like, I don't know, labeled on the permit that okay, this is a special do something or other. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're just trying to kind of prepare for any questions from residents or maybe developers at the town meeting to, make sure we're prepared for, anything that comes up. If, I don't know if you
Yeah.
can think of things that we should be focused on for that.
Mm-hmm. The big thing people are usually talking about is, what does it add to the construction cost?
I've heard 1 to 3%.
Yeah. I've seen all over the place from that, from less than 1 to more. I've seen what people, I've seen what people gripe about. So, if someone's going to have a builder or a GC on board, well, they're going to have a different idea as to what it's going to do. Oh no, it's good. And their perception might need to be tuned up a little bit. Yeah. So the data might say the 1 to 3%, but it comes out all over the place. So when getting to a lower energy rating, or ERI, energy rating index, which is the code way of saying, oh, but the HERS can give you that, right? Or FIAS, or passive house. When you have to build more higher performance, then you're going to be making different decisions, such as, okay, I'm going to spray foam the rafters in, because all that leakage through the top, through inside your walls, it's not outside, it's inside your walls. The air is moving up there all the time. That's what causes the ice dams, because the heat's developing. It's not about the insulation. You can put 7 feet of insulation up there, it's still going to have ice dams because of the heat that's evacuating from the house being drawn out. So the way someone builds, and the materials they're going to decide on for insulation, is going to change well, is it 1 or 3%, or is it actually 7%? Because if you go spray foam, it's going to be more expensive. Without talking about the exception home where someone has money to throw at it, and they want super performance. I would say, so open cell foam, the kind that you can grab and go and break in half, is the same R value as fiberglass bat. Okay. But its air leak properties are far better. Okay, it blocks air and therefore movement, because the fiberglass is tested, or R21 is tested in a laboratory, not in a house. So those are not only the same R value, but they have almost come to almost the same price. Okay, the reason for that, it fluctuates all over the place, but I was just talking with the insulator that said, listen, I'm going to give you the same price for open foam, or scratch more, or whatever. The reason is because a foam truck can come on and do that house in pretty short time. The fiberglass, they're going to run into issues. Don't try to fiberglass slopes and things like that. I'm talking more about the ceiling insulation. The walls can go either way, but wanted to add though here, closed cell foam is twice the R value of open cell and fiberglass bat, but it's sometimes 3 or 4 times the price. Okay, so now now you're looking at what does it add to the construction cost? If someone's saying something, it's like, well, I was told I can only do closed cell because that's how I'm going to get these R values of R60. Okay, that's not needed. Or the house really tight. Okay, there are other ways of finding out how to do a tight house, but you have to listen and do it. A lot of builders and developers are more real estate people, not builders. They've never picked up a hammer. Okay, so they're looking at these things and going, the closed cell is so much more expensive, and they'll turn away. Whatever, they'll giggle to themselves, or if you say 1 to 3%. But those are some of the challenges there.
So it comes down to what insulation the builder chooses or the homeowner chooses. Is there anything else that impacts the costs?
Yeah. People will always get if they want their Thermador, they're going to get it. The washing machine and dryer is a huge way to drop the HERS rating by 3 or 4 points. And it doesn't mean you have to buy an expensive one. All the ones at Home Depot are incredibly efficient. Don't even say Energy Star. Energy Star is lost in the past, okay? Unless you're doing a 300-unit building, it's gone. 2003, it mattered. The performance profile of super high performance washer and dryer that you would go, and they're 90% of them are Home Depot or Lowe's, are oh man, some of them are a quarter the energy profile of an Energy Star one. Okay, it's just yeah. I would say, okay, I should say three
That's
times more efficient. Yeah. Okay. What other things? So why I mention that is because, well, that's an easy way. I tell builders, I'm like, listen, just spend $3,000. You would have had to spend $8,000 more for foam to do more foam and more insulation. Okay, this is the way you drop your HERS rating. Now, as I said before, there's a couple different ways that you have to pass code. Not a couple different ways that you can pass code, but you have to. There's the energy rating. There's the average envelope R value, okay, including windows and everything like that. And then there's the test results and things like that, and some mandatory items. It's not just the number on the HERS, on the certificate. So when we look at that and go, okay, the washer and dryer really helps the HERS rating, and there's other things that do so too, such as the ERV. An energy recovery ventilator is a $3,000 to $5,000 machine installed that can make or break the energy rating index, the ERI. It'll make it go up 3 points, or make it go down 4 points. And the big thing on my email that I send is, listen, don't choose this yourself. Okay, if someone tells you it's energy efficient, then I'm going to say, okay, but it uses 100 watts to get there. Okay, you need an energy efficient one that gets there in 30 watts. The difference there is pass or who cares, Ian? It's pass or fail at the end. That's what it is. And so trying to warn them about that. Let me just think for a moment here. Insulation, type of insulation, yes, that's what we're going over. Matters. Some developers are going to say, no, but I only build this way. It's like, okay, well then, yeah, you're going to be 4 or 5% higher than regular.
Insulation, washer, dryer.
Yeah.
the ventilator, anything else?
Yeah, the ventilation system, ERV or HRV. The air tightness can drop the HERS rating 2 points if it goes from like a 3 air change down to a 1.5, 1.5. My house is a renovation. And of course, I owned an air seal company, but it's at 0.8. But in try hard, and I've had builders now who are matching, well below 1 air change. And like, okay, yeah, you just have to listen and do it. One of the biggest things when people are finishing a house is they say it's done, and then I have a big list that they have to look at and say, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, come anyway." No, it is done. I read your list, and it'll still fail because they think that through holes without being sealed are going to make a passing house, and we're verifiers. I'm not doing it for them. I need to test the house, and it needs to pass. If all the windows can't shut and actually lock, then you have this sliver of air this long on every single window. It ain't gonna pass.
So do windows have the type of window, is that a big impact on the costs?
Great point. Everyone, I can legitimately say everyone says, "Oh, but it's the blank blank series blank." I'm like, okay, it's really good. Believe me, you should look it up. I'm like, I know what it is. It has nothing to do with the performance of it. The performance is the U factor and the SHGC, solar heat gain. Okay, you see the Hancock Tower in Boston. That's got that shiny mirror face. That's got a really low solar heat gain. That is reflecting all that ultraviolet light back out. And so inside, in fact, inside, they actually have to only run air conditioners, even in the winter, just to keep the place livable, because it will heat up even with those windows. So a home has to have, so basically, I don't see any windows under 0.30, 0.30. Most of them are 0.28, 0.27, 0.29, 0.30. The SHGC, the second number, it can be anywhere, really. You have a good view, you want a high SHGC because you want to see a clear view. You don't want to look through bluish glass. And anyway, so the point here is everybody thinks the kind of window and that they spent money on it matters. That is the aesthetics and the functioning. It has nothing to do with the performance. Zero. They have the same glass in there. Okay. When you want to go low E, okay, then you're at a 0.29. When you want to go double low E, okay, you're at a 0.28. When you triple low E and you're spending all that money, you're at a 0.27. You're still,
So it doesn't make a huge difference.
The amount of windows. Okay, so now you have a house that has a high ratio of window to wall. So now that's going to cut down on your ability to, okay, remind me to tell you about the shape of the house. Major thing. These are the things that now we're comparing about how does it increase the construction cost? It doesn't really have to do with that, because it would still cost a house that's more ornate will cost more from the beginning anyway. So what I want to say is the amount of window area is going to lessen your HERS rating as well as your envelope average R value. Okay. Going triple pane is what people might talk about. Don't need it. Don't need it unless you're trying to burn money. You don't even need the triple low E for 0.27. So people end up spending money because the salespeople con them into it. Yeah.
But if I can just add, so Melissa, the value is in the quality of the assembly of everything together. So it's not the window, it's the attention to detail of how the window meets everything else. So you don't have the huge gap, because the money of the window gets lost really fast in those gaps. So if you
What
look
gap?
for
I'm
the
sorry.
cheapest guy who has the, going to do the quickest
Insulation
amount
of
of
the
work,
window.
it's
basically.
useless, because
Yeah.
you're going to fail the test. It's the attention to detail of sealing every nook and cranny.
Yeah.
So, I was trying to ask what gap, and were you mentioning like the rough around the window?
Yeah, I mean, just it's where things meet is where you see the failures of air. Like when you do, scans, if you do thermal scans, you'll see windows actually are picture framed, because that means air and heat is just leaving because there's nothing stopping it. And that's the
right. The window will show
cost
blue.
more money to have a good construction, but if time is money and training is money, then that's where you could see some added costs. But the baseline of quality is going to rise as HERS raters test prove the need for it, because undoing it and redoing it better is always going to cost more.
That's exponential. Yeah. When I tell people, my go-to phrase is, okay, yeah, the windows are gonna, you put a whole lot of those in, it's gonna hurt you. But it's not about the what you're spending on the window. It's about the amount, really, because you still have to be under 0.3, and that's like a mandatory or something. Shoot, what was I gonna say?
You wanted to talk about the shape of the building. You mentioned that.
Yeah, I'll get to that one. That's a good one. Okay. So I just wanted to address so every job I go in, or my employees go in, and we see caulk everywhere on every single joint between every single stud. They caulk the jack studs, does nothing. They caulk the bottom plate. It does one thing out of 3, and so it's not really doing 33%. It's doing like 5%. Okay, so they're missing every single insulation company. I write it 3 times a day. I have not yet met an insulation company. Some of them almost convinced me, and they were wrong, who knows what they're talking about. And even ones who do blower door tests, they haven't spent the time, are discerning enough to get there and go, oh, that's where the air's coming in. Okay, spray foaming the rim joists of a basement does nothing. Fiberglass
that makes me feel great, because I just did that to my house.
Sorry. The insulators said that we're gonna bring that in, they charge this much to do their premium air seal. It's like, no, you have to do actual air seal. You're doing stuff that looks like air sealing, but it doesn't do a thing. And I have plenty of inspectors that say, you didn't caulk the jack studs, you didn't caulk the bottom plate here. I'm like, doesn't say that in the code. There's nothing in there that says about it. The air comes in. Now I'll get into the details. The air comes in outside under the sheathing and goes straight up. And so if you're in the basement and you're looking at where they foam, they're foaming against a 2x10 standing upright. The air's coming in on the back side of it, straight up into the house. So they're missing all these things. So right, and Robin, yeah. Boy, oh boy, they're completely missing the boat. Onto the shape of the house. So here's the thing now. Okay, if you have an intricate shape to a house, that is going to cost so much, and the code, the more stringent code, will up a certain percent. Correct. And the more plus features or premium features you add on it, then it's getting more, 10-15% more. So we're not talking about those. If you have a house that is 2 stories and a square, right, one block on top of the other, that's about the best, most compact design, because the volume of warmed air, conditioned air, to the ratio from that to the surface area where heat actually is lost is different than a house that is long and drawn out. You could have a ranch sitting on a cold slab and it'd be 1 floor and 60 feet long and only 20 feet wide. It could be the same It could be the same volume of multiple other homes, but the surface area added up in square footage is considerably more. That's the house that's going to have a hard time. Okay. One of the big things with when stretch code came around, we found that the software was particularly beneficial for bigger homes. So you have these wealthy people doing massive homes and not even thinking about the HERS rating because they're passing at 39. Small homes have now gotten an adjustment. At a certain size, you get adjusted so it is more fair play. Because if you're doing it as 700 square foot apartment, that happens to have a lot of outside surface area and not a lot to a shared wall to another apartment. Real hard. So anyway, why I bring up the shape of the house is that's the last thing I wanted to think about when I was building my house, designing it. I'm up in Maine, actually, so it doesn't matter. They could care less about the energy code here in certain towns. Although they've been installing heat pumps for many years. The top selling system in Maine for many years now. Massachusetts is the top selling system in Massachusetts more recently. It is the top selling heating system in the country. It is, yeah. The thing about the shape of the house is, forgetting about those extraordinary situations, is that I don't know, if it favors a home to be more compact and less surface area where heat loss actually happens, then that changes the way people build and how pretty it is. Oh, some gables, some this, some that, and everything. That adds surface area. So you have an inside corner, right? You have a square and then an inside corner. That's like this. Oh God, that's bad. Anyway, you surface area and you're cutting out the volume, but it's the same amount of surface area than if you go out to the corner and then in. I don't know how this really matters to you, but it matters big for the code. That's why passive houses all look pretty much rectangle, not even drawn out rectangle, and very few windows. It's they're gurus, they gotta want it. I usually tell people in terms of the amount of surface area of the windows, I'm like, listen, there is such a thing as mental health. So figure out what windows you want and build it. We'll find a way to pass code, but mental health, having windows where you kind of feel like they need to be is important. What do you think, Robin?
I mean,
well,
yeah, I mean, that's broad statements because there's a lot of nuance to it, but yes.
Yep. Yeah. But I mean, you think like, okay, when I started talking about the shape of the house, I'm like, God, what am I going to say about that? I don't know how that actually affects, in terms of your work and people thinking about it and everything, but it affects it a lot. It affects the beauty of a neighborhood. And I don't know what kind of controls I actually don't know much about in terms of, town planning and that. And yeah, you can build here, but can you build a prettier thing? Can you build something a little bit nicer?
Yeah, we're just focusing on the stretch at this point.
Yeah.
That's a zoning and a ZBA kind of issue.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
but I don't want to take up too much of your time and to kind of go on to other topics,
Sure.
but we appreciate you coming on, and if there's anything else you can think of that we should focus on for we present at town meeting, and thank you for coming to agreeing to come to our town meeting. We appreciate that. Let us know.
When is that again? Was that communicated early on?
Yes, I believe I told you that.
That's right. Yep.
November 18th.
Oh, okay.
Does that still work?
And we'll have a better idea of when it's going to be and where it's going to be.
Yeah. At what time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. sorry, it's Wednesday. No, next. Right. No, it'll be fine. Mhm.
Great.
Great. Yeah, a lot of things will come to me. I'll try to whittle it down.
Okay. Thanks so much.
It's fluid science. So, but thanks for listening to me and letting me get off my chest. Great. I'll let you know if I think of anything else that might be helpful.
Thank you so much.
All right. You bet. Take care.
Bye. Okay. So I didn't know that was going to take so long, but let me share the agenda. Going back. So we have not approved the minutes from last month.
Yeah, can I motion for the approval of the minutes with the note that Melissa did give me a few edits, but they were content didn't change. It was just some wording that has been amended. Second.
All right. Amy?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Lillian?
Yes.
Christina?
Yes.
All right. Meeting notes approved. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was we had to update the ESC policy in order to solicit for student members. So I sent that around to everybody. I don't know if people had comments.
I have a question.
Yep.
So the version you sent us, oh, hold on, I had it behind here somewhere. Had a lot of red lines, but wouldn't some of them already have been, are they all being proposed changed or just the adding of the word middle school? That's what wasn't clear to me. Because the change in quantity, I thought we did that 2 years ago and so forth. So,
Well, that is the version that Sherry had. Maybe I don't have updated version if there was a change, but that was the one that Sherry had.
all right, hold on.
Yeah, because the number of members was pretty off.
We may have done it in town council and never gone back and fixed the policy.
We requested it. No, because this was, man, was this under, let me quickly search my, I want to say it
Why
was
don't
under
we-
Rob where we made the change on the, of our last change.
That was the first year or two.
Yeah. All right, it was reviewed by the town council. All right, so that is, okay, so that one has us going up to 9. So did we not? Well, if it was done, I don't have a copy of it. So, okay, I just didn't want
Yeah,
to.
I mean, I don't have a copy if it was updated, and Sherry doesn't either. So, I mean, we had to update it to include middle school anyways, so we might as well update everything else that needs to be updated. So,
Why is it 4?
so 14 includes 11 voting members. So the 11 appointments, one of which is the town councilor. So, you know, all the residents that were appointed plus the town councilor equals 8. 1 from school committee, 1 from DPW, 1 from gas and light, and then we had in the past 3 student members. I don't know if we want to change that now that we have somebody from youth council. I guess that's up for discussion.
So I guess one concern, so we've always, we did say one student, and then we ended up allowing more in because we were told we could. I guess I don't like saying it has to be 3, because we've always said it could like come and go, you know, depending on interest and so forth. And so I wouldn't want it to seem like we had open seats if we didn't have 3 high school and some combination of high school and middle schoolers. So can the committee size exclude, can we say at least 1 and then allow it to grow based on it, as opposed to creating spots? Because if we say 3, then we would have been non-compliant last year, because we officially had 3 high schoolers in addition to do you know what I'm trying to
Yeah.
clarify?
I think we can say at least 1 and then have as many on as that we want.
Okay.
And I think the youth council, and Nathaniel, chime in here. The youth council is more kind of like liaisons. So I don't think that they need an official part of the policy. They, you know, just sit in and report back and share insight.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't include them in this student count anyways. Okay, so at least 1 student from high school or middle school.
High school or middle school, we could say, right?
Or
Right, yeah.
so 13 to 18 ages.
That's fine.
So that would make it so 12 total people. All right, does that work for people? So 12 members, 8 voting members.
No, it's 11 voting members, right?
We currently have 11 voting members, which is what you have on your
Yeah,
markup.
Yeah.
I read it wrong.
Okay. No, I know we do try to keep it an odd number for voting members.
At least 1 student. Okay. So, is there a motion to vote on this update to the policy?
So moved.
Give me a second.
Second,
Thanks. All
Who
right.
is that?
me,
No.
Lillian.
Oh, Lynn, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, let's go around again. Robin,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Lillian,
Yes.
Christina,
Yes.
Sharon.
Yes.
Okay, policy updated. I will send this to Sherry and we will go for student solicitation. Okay, next item is ESC events and tabling coming up. So, actually, town day didn't happen, so no update there. Our next event is the EV Showcase on October 22nd. So, Tiana's not here, but she wanted to see if we had people that could come volunteer and help out with setup and, you know, anything. I don't know, Lillian, if you have more information of what would be needed.
Yeah, I think it's probably just like greeting people and directing them where we have like, well, I can give a little update when the waste reduction section comes around, but I would imagine it would just be to have some folks on hand to like direct people to the different cars and maybe give a handout that we have to share around. I think it'd be a pretty light lift, I would imagine.
So if you're available on the 22nd, I forget, what is the timing of the event?
It's 10 to 1. I think Tiana was
1.
hoping people to show up around 9:45.
Okay. So if you're available, you can contact Tiana and let her know you can help out. The other event that we had is the Wakefield 101,
Mhm.
which is on November 2nd at the Civic Center. So that's basically for new residents to come check out the municipal departments, organizations, businesses, etc., to know the town, ask questions. We did this last year. Pretty good turnout. I think it was helpful for new residents to kind of see what's going on in town. So I know that Tiana said she was available for that. If anybody else is available on November 2nd, which is a Thursday night, it's 6 to 7:30.
I'll be there. I'll probably be there with town council, but I can help out if needed.
Okay. Yeah, I think, you know, if anybody can help out, let me know. I can probably be there with Tiana. Probably just need 2 people. And then the last thing we have is the pumpkin collection at the elementary schools. That is November 8th. Robin organizing that. Gonna say something?
So you're a little garbled for me, Melissa, but I don't know if you said this. So 12 to like 2-ish, I'll need help folks meeting me at schools. I can share the route and we just chuck the pumpkins into the truck. It's pretty straightforward.
I'm sorry,
I can
what times did you say? I just missed that.
I had to double check how we did last year, but I think we start around noon and it takes us like an hour and 20 minutes, so it's about 10 to 15 minutes per school, and then we have to drive or bike or however you get buildings. So
Okay.
I had some people would meet me at a school and just help me at one school, and some people help me with more than one, based on their ability to step away from work for a little bit, or whatever your Thursday afternoons are like, or sorry, Wednesday afternoons are like.
Wednesday. Yeah.
It is a professional development day in the schools, so we worked around. Some people had parent-teacher conferences, I guess. So
Yes, so we plan it on the half day, so like when
Mhm.
parents are coming to pick up their kids, they can drop off the pumpkins and
Gotcha.
yes,
I might be able to help with that. I can email you, Robin. I
perfect.
probably will have some time.
Kids are welcome to join us. This is not an adult only. You do need a
It's
little bit of
super
upper
fun.
body strength to get up and into the truck,
Mhm.
but not to say that kids who can't get over the truck aren't helpful to help put this stuff together. We do have to kind of look at the pumpkins and make sure that there's nothing in them that's not compostable, like
Yeah,
candles, like people's
stickers.
yeah, exactly. So there is a task that can be done for folks of all abilities.
Okay.
And if nothing else, they could just photograph us and be, our documentation. So don't feel that this has to exclude.
Counting pumpkins, that could be a task.
Yeah,
We try to
count 'em.
count. Yep. So
It's very good for your mental health, like throwing pumpkins.
Yes.
oh man. It's actually really good for your skin. The pumpkin is an excellent moisturizer. Wear clothes, so pumpkins will come in all different firmness, so be prepared to get dirty.
Yeah.
Because the unexpected pumpkin will fall out underneath you because it's full of stuff, or just that much ready for compost.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So those are all the things coming up for us. It's gonna be a busy next month. After that, we have the town meeting, so lots going on. So next is updates from subcommittees. We don't have a lot of updates for waste reduction. We are, except one thing is we're getting the Halloween candy wrapper recycling box again this year. So last year we did this a little late. We didn't really get the word out very well, but hopefully we can have that box in town hall again, and people can drop off their candy wrappers at town hall to be recycled through a company called Rubicon. And also, you know, schools can, it's a free box, and schools can also get one for collection. So Amy, I don't know if you want to inform, you know, the schools or the PTO that there's this program. I can send you the information about it, but it's completely free. Other than that, we do have a meeting tomorrow with town staff and the Chamber of Commerce to talk about our green business program, what the next steps are with that. We're continuing the school initiatives. I guess one thing I wanted to talk to Nathaniel about was need your help for getting the recycling at Galvin going. If you're willing to help us with that. Tried to start it a couple years ago. It didn't really last too long because you know, one reason or the other, and it'd be great to have somebody on the inside that could kind of monitor and help make it you know, more successful. So if you're interested in helping, we can talk on the side.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can talk to some of the administration, and yeah, we can figure something out.
Yeah, I think coming from a student instead of coming from our committee would make a bigger difference in their thoughts about it. So great. I think that's about it. Anything with buildings, Robin?
The last month there was a question about the library, and I learned after the meeting that the roof had already been done. So the library has a new roof. And then in terms of the high schools, I don't have any news to show.
I did hear that the high school is going to Conservation Commission in the next couple of weeks. So that's just something, and it must be for permitting. So that's something to watch, but hopefully that'll be fine. And I heard that there's still questions coming in on the DEP appeal for the vote. So that's probably still another 5 to 7 weeks away being resolved.
Okay. We don't have any updates on the greenhouse gas inventory green communities, except for the fact that I will be talking at town council meeting on Monday about the specialized code warrant, and also asking for support to create a climate change plan for the town. So we will see what happens. Julie was nice enough to help get those slides together, and
we're kind of coming in, we have to present the warrant basically so that the town council understands it, even though we're sponsoring it. So we're kind of
Sneaking in.
we're kind of piggybacking on that to
Yeah.
throw out the first salvo on the climate action plan.
Yeah. So that's happening. And so that's probably the biggest thing we have going on for that group. Lillian, you said you have the education update.
Yeah, of course, the main thing is the EV showcase on the 22nd. I checked last night and we have about 24 participants. A couple of others came through that worked at Lucid Motors and Tesla. So I'll have to connect with Gianna and see what she wants to do about, you know, salespeople coming.
Oh,
We'll have
really?
to
Yeah.
see how we want to manage that. And then we have Velvet Green Lawn Care coming as a sponsor to do some, like, I think coffee and maybe some donuts or something like that, which is a nice little addition. And I'm just looking at my notes and I was wrong about 9:45. She was asking for 9:30 for the volunteers to help with setup. Unfortunately, I'm out of town that weekend, so I can't be there to help her. But if anyone else wants to, you can also reach out to me and I'm happy to help organize that with her. The other thing we talked about was the new Residence 101, which you touched on, and then trying to get the word out about the specialized opt-in energy code that's being voted on the 18th. We haven't gotten very far on that yet.
Yeah, actually, Christina made a great flyer on that that I'll share around to
great.
people. Initially, we were going to show it at Town Day, but that didn't happen. So we will show it at our EV showcase and at the other events that we'll be doing. So she did a great job and it looks great. And I'll share it with everybody.
Can you bring a copy of
Awesome.
that to town council on Monday, Melissa?
Bring a copy, like print it out.
Well,
I
or
will
maybe
have
I
to-
can grab a copy to kind of show people, like,
Yeah, I wasn't planning on being there in person.
I'll grab a copy or I can print one
Okay.
out, I think, yeah. Okay, perfect.
Anything else?
That's it from now, I think.
Okay, thank you. Amy, do you have any updates from school committee?
I don't have any school committee. Sorry, I just shut my camera off because my computer has run out of battery. I don't have any updates. I have a couple questions. For the pumpkin drop off, will that be on your Facebook page or is it just kind of word of mouth? Will there be a flyer?
No, so last year I made a flyer and I plan to make another one and send it to the email group and they shared it throughout to the PTO, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, it'll also be on our Facebook page.
Perfect.
And you're welcome to post yours into the individual or just share ours. So yeah, no, I meant to check in with you this week, Amy. Sorry, but
Oh no, that's all right. I mean, we still have a couple weeks, but I
Yeah.
think since we're not meeting again till November 9th, I just didn't want to miss it. I checked you have a great Facebook page and I'm out there often. I just hadn't seen it. So once it's out there, I'll just, myself.
yeah, I
and
think we don't tend to mention until after Thanksgiving or after Halloween, like because
Yeah.
no one's looking to considering how they're getting rid of it until after then.
Okay.
But
Yeah, we may
when I
want to
set the
just,
date, I told her what.
we may want to, say it a little bit earlier than Halloween so people can plan on, what they're gonna do with their pumpkin and how it's gonna happen on that half day. Figure that out a little ahead of time.
And then the candy wrappers, you'll also send that to the PTOs, you said? Or do you want me to come pick up boxes and drop them to the schools? And have them do that?
So how it works is you have to go on the company's website and sign up. So it's basically, you have to sign up using either a town email address or the school email address, and it'll ship to the school or wherever you want it to be shipped to.
Would you want me to then since I have a school email address, do you want me to go out there and put all this, register for a box for every school?
Well, I would talk to the principals probably and make sure
Okay.
that they're on board.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I'll send you the information
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
that'd be great. And then
Yeah.
I'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't have DPW. Julie, any town council update?
No, I don't, I really don't think so. Just that we'll be there talking about the warrant on Monday.
All right. Sharon, any updates from WMGLFD?
We are planning to have a information session about our proposed community solar program for the town. It hasn't, we don't have a date yet, but we're thinking perhaps sometime in December. But I think I better get you know, confirmation before I'll get confirmation at our next meeting. And then who should I contact or who should I let know on this committee
You can let me
if
know.
we want to advertise that?
You can just let me know and then we can spread the word.
Okay. And so it'd be information session and then possibly a sign up for people who are interested in enrolling, but it wouldn't be you know, we wouldn't be enrolling people at the information session. I think enrollment would happen in February, January, February timeframe for an April 1st start date. That's what we're anticipating. But more to come. I also had a question. I think, Robin, you mentioned that the library, you investigated the roof of the library and you said it was new?
Yeah,
You
they
know-
just put a new membrane down.
Oh, okay. So what was that this year?
It was this month. Or
Oh.
or September, I guess it was. It was just days after we had our last meeting. On Facebook, they posted, "Hey, we got a new roof." And
Yeah,
why
'cause
that
I
was mentioned was,
asking about
yeah,
whether we could put solar on it, and I guess that was not really a thought.
Okay. Great.
just if I could interrupt on the idea of locations for solar, I guess if you didn't read in the paper, I was referenced. The restrooms that are being planned near the lake, I
Yes.
wondered if they had considered putting solar on the toilets. As if nothing else, just a demonstration of it. And the town engineer said, "Oh, I guess I should talk to the gas and light department." So if you don't
mean on
hear
the
from them,
roof?
I'd love it if you could nudge them and say, you know, why don't we have a couple solar panels on the toilets?
You mean on the roof?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Well, you can put it on the toilets, but you're not gonna get a lot of sunlight.
Is that a new thing?
You'd be amazed at what they come up in some places, you know.
Okay.
Regenerative energy is a thing. So
Who should we
could
reach out
compost
to?
toilets.
Bill Renault at the engineering department, Sharon. Peter will know who. That's a really
Okay.
good point, Robin. I did confirm today with Bill too, Robin, that those do have to go to Concom. To Conservation Commission.
Okay.
A
Is
lot of
he,
interest about that one.
Julie, is he, you said he's in engineering, is he?
Yeah,
what
he's the head of
depart-
engineering with the
Oh, okay.
Public Works. Yep.
Okay, Public Works, okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
All right. I think that's all for me. I'm sorry I missed a little bit of the beginning of this meeting. I understand from the last meeting, we're going to be giving a presentation at the town meeting on the specialized energy code in order for the vote.
Yep.
Do you need any help putting together the deck, the PowerPoint, or will you have a PowerPoint or?
Yeah, so Tom has been helping us kind of from the beginning on this, so.
Okay.
But, you're more than welcome to help us as well. We haven't started putting together the presentation, we just have like a bunch of information kind of in a document right now, so we need to put together
Okay.
the actual slides.
Okay. I can also talk to him, see if there's any help that he needs. I'm happy to help in any way. Also just had a thought that would it be helpful to have a developer speak at the meeting in addition to the HERS rating person to show support?
I don't know who we could ask, if you know anybody.
I don't know if the other towns had, gone that far to bring somebody
I
like a
haven't heard,
developer in,
I haven't heard of that as a tactic.
because I was just thinking that, I mean, if,
It makes sense.
yeah, people might just feel better if they knew that I don't know, there was support from it would, that it wouldn't be harmful to development in the town.
Yeah, we should definitely try to, I'll ask my husband if he knows anybody.
Okay.
Okay. Just a thought.
Yeah, that was a good idea.
Yeah, no, I think we should definitely look into it. I guess we were mostly thinking that like developers wouldn't actually be residents, so they wouldn't like necessarily have a vote. Because most developers don't live in Wakefield, right?
Right, they wouldn't be voting, but they would be kind of speaking to,
Industry.
what's that?
Speaking from the industry.
Yeah, from the industry, that this is not going to be bad for economic development or, future development of,
Yeah.
Housing in the town.
Yeah,
And that, maybe they can speak to the cost. I don't know.
yeah, we can definitely look into it. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty. Our next meeting is November 9th. Jonathan, or sorry, Nathaniel, do you have anything you want to add? Just wanted to check in.
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. Right. Anything else not anticipated? Okay, motion to adjourn.
I motion.
Second.
Second.
All right. Christina,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Yes.
Lillian,
Yes.
and Amy.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.